You know, I had asked before about the centers. Is this classrooms or just one classroom or a center? Because we have come across counties that have centers. This involve PP1, PP2, and a staff room where the children can also rest, something like that, so that we can apportion the 2.8 million to understand the cost and the value of that money.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Seki of Kajiado. In our rural setup counties, we only build 2 classes, 40 students per class. So when you look at the class, we're using about 1.150 to construct, but the rest goes to the chairs and the learning materials. So when we talk of 2.8, we're talking about 2 classes per school. That is what we are trying to provide. To try to build centers in our remote areas, probably sometimes it's not easy. We have done it in NAROK town, and I think in Ololunga, those kind of centers. It works out in towns. But when you go to rural, the most important thing is for the young ones to get 2 classes, 40 per class. So it's 80. So in an average, we can have more, but in an average, or we can even have less. You can go to a school that have only 32 or 20 kids per ECD. But in bigger schools, an average is 2 classes. And that's what we are trying to provide in our primary schools. And we normally build next to in the land that the primary is built.
Madam Chair, I wanted clarity.
Yes, go ahead.
On the issue of bursary, because everybody is giving bursary. Women rep are giving bursary, members of parliament are giving bursary, governors are giving bursary. How do you make sure that this bursary, because I've known, like, you go to a certain village, we have those we call gatekeepers. The gatekeeper, the child can get bursary from the governor, bursary from women rep, bursary from member of parliament. How do you mitigate to make sure that your bursary, because you can get one kid who's getting bursary from every other person, including organizations that are giving bursary? How do you ensure, are you working with the members of parliament as well as women rep so that you can be sure the person you are giving bursary is the one who is deserving? Okay, you can be giving the deserving, but you end up getting every other person giving bursary. The second question is, I wanted to know the lowest, how much are you paying the lowest paid ECD teacher and the highest paid ECD teacher? Thank you.
Maybe let me answer that question because it's very important and it has been out there on the issue of bursary. So in Narok County, we normally meet with the members of parliament and also my senator is aware of those meetings, that in around November, we have a sort of like a county meeting where we have all the MCS and the members of parliament. And what we do is that because the county government money normally comes first before the members of the CDF, they normally give out around January, around February, depending on the years. But generally, because all the members of parliament and the senator and other leaders know that Narok County, we give out bursaries. We start sorting the kids around November, just immediately after they close schools, and December. So every polling session, they go sit down and give out those very needy students. Once we have the list, we share among the CDF managers and the CDF chairpersons. Once they have the list, then it is, like, for example, it didn't work the first year. The second year it works out a little bit, but this year was perfect because I was able to give every member of parliament that these are the children that I've given in your constituency. Please give it to the next student. Don't give this one. And it has worked out this year than the last 2 years. But I must also add that this issue of bursary, honorable senators, I really think that there is a lot of bursary out there for the children. It's only that there is always double allocation. There is always somehow misuse in terms of giving out those who is needy and who is not. Sometimes children are given if you are politically right. I'm not saying about my county, but I'm just saying generally in Kenya, because I've been a member of parliament and I know this. Tools. And therefore, if there is a way, all these bursaries can be put in a basket And we make it in Kenya that all our children that are going to school from 1 to Form 4 is free, and tertiary colleges and universities. I really don't mind as a governor to lose the 400 million or the money that I see in CDF in NAROK and the money that I also see. Remember, there is so many other bursary. There is also the bursary from the national government that they are just giving out the other day. So if it can be put in one basket in the entire country, I was reading somewhere that it is about 900 and something billion shilling. I'm very sure no kid will be left out. And I will also be happy because in our county, we will cover many students who probably my bursary will not be enough for them. And this will take care of all of our children. And finally, we will now get free primary, free education. Because we have all been just singing free education, but we haven't attained or we haven't achieved that. I want to ask this house, if it is possible, and I know that you are also thinking like me, I don't mind losing 600 million Kenya shilling so that all my children can go to school. Or all my students from university will not bother me to come to my home or to come to my office asking for bursary. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I want to say thank you for that because personally I'm a believer of what you said, and that bill is in our house. I know it is a tough one, and I thank you for being in the same line with the Senate. I think before we give, I want to give the area Senator the last chance so that you can sum it up, please. Please. So, Senator Seki?
Maybe just a quick one on the issue of bursary, Governor. On the bursary and scholarship, I think it's good that you also clarify how you give these bursaries and the scholarship. Maybe you can clarify how much is going for scholarship and how do you offer or how do you give this scholarship? Is it full scholarship, partial, or something like that? You need to clarify that. And the bursary, how do you give it out? How much per bursary per student?
And through you, Chair. Sorry. Senator, please let the Senator finish.
So I think that is a very good clarification. If it's not there or there is no documentation that support this, we would really wish to have this documentation so that we're able to understand more on how you give it out. You know, sometimes it also helps this committee to help even the other counties as they come to this before this committee. Thank you very much.
Are we taking a round of questions or one?
Well, we thought we wanted to finish with ECD, so you can still give
so just
your issues. But just
Chair.
before you do that, please let me allow Senator Kavindu, who was first to do.
Yeah, the same question that Senator Seki has asked, I had asked for it and asked if they can table any documents of how they gave out these bursaries and scholarships, and that was not answered.
Chair.
Take a note of it. Yes, Senator Maruma.
Yeah, Chair, thank you. I have the advantage of being out most of the time, but I want to ask if it has been asked. There's no problem. I want to look at the learning conditions of these pupils. And our document is not paginated, but looking at Sagamian Ward, I'm looking at a school called Kaliet, where the classroom seems to hold 127 pupils in a class which you have said the class size holds 40 pupils. What is the learning condition here? I'm seeing congestion. Yes. Are you satisfied that they should just have one classroom, or do you have any plans to build 2 classrooms? And the teacher ratio of 1 is to 127, to me seems to be too high. What are you doing to improve on this? And there are several other schools that you can cite, like Saire, 1 is to 100. Uswet, 1 is to 84. Those are quite high. What are you doing about it?
Thank you. I think that is a question also Professor had asked and it had not been answered. And please allow me, honorable senators, to ask the secretary to take notes so that if there are any documents that the senators would wish to have, we'll be able to request at the end of this meeting. Senator Kamar.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank the governor for being very honest about the bursary issue. The only word he has not said is that it's a political game, which two governors have come here and they have told us we are doing it because it's politically attractive. And it's good to be very honest about this. The one thing, though, that goes with that is that this is not devolved. And if it is not devolved, there is a way of doing something that is not devolved. You are supposed to have an intergovernmental agreement with the national government, and then you are given a conditional grant to implement that yourself. But you are with us when you talk of free education. We have a motion. We have two motions, actually. One from the Senator of Kiambu is on, and we are going to discuss the free education agenda. Mine was a motion to ban bursaries, but the Comptroller of Budget went ahead of me, and now it is history. But why are we concerned about this? We are concerned about this because you are leaving your own babies and going for the neighbor's children. You are spending a lot of money on bursaries, and these children are being taught in a classroom of 80. I say this, Governor, because you were a member of parliament, and you know that there is a lot of money with the CDF to take care of bursaries and classrooms. We should not we should not divert our little 15% of devolved funding, because devolved funding was supposed to bring equalization at the grassroots level. Which takes me to my first, the question I really wanted to ask at the beginning. I was very worried when you did a presentation on the feeding program, and you said the problem is transport. Must everybody get milk from NAROK? If you are at the very end of the county, why do you wait for milk to come from a centralized place? Why do you wait for Uji to come from a centralized place? Do you have committees in every ECDE? And if there is a committee in every ECDE, what is their job if it does not include buying wimbi for porridge and buying milk from the locals for tea or for drinking? Why are you talking of transport? I'm very worried about the word transport, because you are saying you are transporting things, which means this very expensive county is supposed to be receiving toilet paper from NAROK town. And I hope they have toilet paper, because we say for our little babies, when you are equipping a nursery school, you give them toilets that belong to babies, PP1 and PP2. And by the way, Governor, the Japanese have already studied and have shown that the most brilliant children are those who are taken care of at PP1, PP2. And they said it's the point when the brain expands. So if we don't take care of them at that age, we don't expect any of this education we are talking about to help them later on. So really, the foundation of NAROK is in your hands. The foundation of those babies is in your hands. And I'm very worried that we are saying that these little babies then, do they finish school at 1 and run home, or what happens to the children of NAROK? So 90% go home hungry. Who wants to listen by 11? By 11, a baby doesn't want anything if there is no uji, if there is no milk. So if you see us insisting that we need to know about the feeding programs are very important for us, not bursaries for university students who can even get it from help and can be banned whichever way the ministry is trying to ban them. Why are we concentrating on something that's not evolved and leaving out this important group? But feeding, transport, I want to know why you want to transport everything.
Very well said from a professor and a mother. Just to add on budget, on your budget, on our bursaries, I just want to confirm, Your Excellency, do you fund students abroad? Because I know your senator was in America for long, maybe was a beneficiary, and that could make matters more clear, and we learn about it. And if you do, how many?
Thank you very much, Chair. First of all, we don't fund, as the NAROK County, we don't fund a single student outside Kenya. So we don't have that. Number two, Honorable Chair, on the issue of scholarship, we give two needy students per polling session. So the community sits and look for the most needy students in every polling session. So two per polling student, we have about 2,000 children that we are funding free scholarship from Form 1 to Form 4. The issue of TVET, again, somebody asked about TVET. TVET is more or less free in Narok County. Every student that attend, that goes to our TVET, we pay them 15,000 per student. And it's more or less enough for the whole year. And that is why even, the totaling, when you talk about 600 million, it is also part of the TVET. So it's not just the university students and VCT. Now, the other issue that Senator asked, I think you came...
Just maybe so you're clear. I say that TVET is free.
Yes.
Because said more or less free. Is it free that the students don't pay anything?
They don't, at all, because we pay as a county government. And again, the enrollment was very low before I came in. So now we have about 600. When I came in, I think it was about 300. Now we have increased to 600. And again, I mentioned maybe when you're outside.
We will Governor, you will be able to address TVET when we do the vocational. So I can ask the senator to hold. Please hold it, yeah.
So yeah, he was also asking the issue of, he looked at Sagamian that had 127 EC students. It is true. We even have a school that has more than 200, depending on the population. Some areas are densely populated, and that's why you see the numbers are more than 100. But we said an average of every primary school in our county, we build 2 classes for the ECD, for PP1 and PP2, which is that is the average. But that does not mean that we have, like the one you have indicated, it's 120, meaning that we normally also borrow a class in the primary school, that school, that ECD center is situated. So the shortage is big, particularly on teachers. And you have just came in when I was talking about that we are adding another 200 ECD again to the number that we have, and that will help a little bit. But that does not mean that we needed when we did the statistic, we probably need about 2,000 ECD teachers, so that at least we have a good ratio as far as the Ministry of Education is concerned. But currently, we are not yet there. And again, it's lack of funding, things of that nature. Now, for Mheshimiwa Professor Kamar, on the issue of feeding program, I keep on coming back to say that a county like mine, when we look at even the, providing the wiji or even the milk in that village, half of my county is Asal. And sometimes the milk might not be available when you need it.
But what are they going home to eat?
Survival for the fittest, Professor, if I may say.
That is, as the father of the county,
yes,
you must make them survive in school.
That's what I'm...
So, and we have said, it doesn't have to be uniformly milk,
yes,
or uji. You might decide to give them lunch. But what we are saying is that this is a very delicate group. If you want them to be in school, you feed them. If you don't feed them, when survival is not fit, they will not come. So Professor, you have numbers on your table, but you might not. I hope the CEC is giving you periodic reports on whether there is consistency in the attendance. Otherwise, you may not be raising anybody at all.
Professor Kamar, this is an issue we had with my senator, a lengthy discussion on how we can go about that. And we are trying to see whether this year we're going to budget, because we have come up with all manner of numbers. Still, the numbers will, just because of logistics. Professor, I wish you understand NAROK County. NAROK County is one of the biggest. And even that, we have looked at the numbers. And if I had time, and you had, given me to give you the numbers.
We are coming, by the way.
Thank you, Karibu.
And we will remind you
Karibu
when we reach there the same thing.
Karibu san.
Why are you transporting things from Narok town?
There is a reason. There is a reason. And if I tell you the reason, is that when it is really, there's a big drought, you probably will not get anything in those areas to buy for the school, as you are trying to say that we can buy it within. There might be those things. We can only get in big towns, but not in rural areas. And a number of our people live in the rural areas. I'm telling you this because I have tried. It's not like I don't want. First of all, when I came in, my first thing that I told our people is that I'm going to give at least, there was that Nyayo milk or Wiji or Githeri. We were trying to look at whether we are going to give at least something for the children when they come to school, so that we can sustain them up to in the afternoon. And I can tell you, Professor, and you will do some arithmetic with you, it might be a tall order. And I wish that the committee that you have said, come, we will go around with you. Some areas probably will not reach. We need probably to use other things to reach other areas.
Chair.
We had not given the area senator a chance to give his supplementary questions.
One before Senator comes. Mine is just a suggestion, Governor. You said most of the students, especially boy child, fall out to go and work in hotels. There are many hotels in NAROK. These people should also give back to the community, approach them to support you with any kind of assistance they can support you with towards the ECD, as in giving milk or even rice or something. I'm sure they can do, and there are many of them. Thank you.
Okay, I think that was a very good suggestion.
Thank you,
Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, my two issues which I'd like some clarity on. This issue of bursaries, and I think I'd like Governor for me to understand how we're moving forward legally. Maybe your legal team can be able to respond to this, in the sense that, yes, there's a need, because then these people will not be able to go to school if they're not given bursaries. How are you going to work with your assembly to be able to maybe circumvent those hurdles which are there, so that you can be able to achieve your goals? That's number one. This proceeding seems to be public. I've just been receiving some communication back from people in Sagamian, and I wanted to understand from the CC, because let me congratulate you for a very good job. I mean, this report has been answered properly. You know, I spend a lot of time reading through the lines, but when you submit such information, you have to be aware that it is going to be scrutinized thoroughly. You've done a good job in it. I've noticed that in NAROK South, there are some schools there, especially in Sagamian ward. I can name them. There's Oltarakway, which has got 129 kids, one teacher. You've got Osotwa, which has got 176 children with one teacher. You've got Olorwasi, which has got 198 students. You also have Olepolos, which has got 138, which means there are very few teachers in NAROK South. What are you going to do, Governor? There is also communication that I'm getting from the ground, which is good for us to deal with this issue. Ndasiro ECD, there's another one called Chesoen, there's another one called Senetwet, and Kware. I haven't seen these ones. Are these owned by the county, or are they owned by individuals? Because the information that I'm getting is that these projects are built in land that has not been bought by the county government. Are these private, so that at least you can be able to be clear on those three? Chesoen, Senetwet, and Kware. And then finally, in terms of your plans to be able to recruit more teachers, how do you plan to divide them? Because right now I can see the biggest problem you have is NAROK South. You know, NAROK South, I've seen other areas in Olorte, which has got so many students, one teacher. How do you plan to deal with that? Because this is going to be a big problem. And then I want to reiterate again that I think I empathize with the county government position when it comes to the issue of the bursaries, because I know the needs. Legally speaking, what are you going to do? And I think, Governor, your legal team can assist you in this, because you have to look at it. And I think, Senator, the chairperson, or the vice chair of this committee had indicated and had directed you to, I think it's Article 187 of the Constitution, in terms of seeking on how you can work with the national government. How do you intend to do this? Because this is one of the things that I would not want to see in Narok County as losing it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and the Honorable Senators. Indeed, as you have indicated, Honorable Senator, for Narok, we have a big problem in Sagamian. There is a land issue that is still in court. And even constructing those ECDs has become a problem because of lack of land. And sometimes the county government is forced to not just to build, but also even to buy lands for the ECDs. And as you have rightly indicated, and you know very well the area, it's densely populated. And we are dealing with that land issue, and it's almost now towards the end. And once that issue is sorted out, we have set aside some fund to really look at those schools that the populations are bigger than, the more than 80 students per school. And we're going to build. We have actually budgeted for this year at least one class in those very densely populated. We probably will never be, able to give all the schools the classes, or even in Loita, as you have indicated. Loita is another big area. That's why even the teachers that we are employing, most of these 200 teachers will go to those schools that we know we have a big shortage. It's something that we have been working over the last 2 years, and also we suffered as a county because there are so many people who have retired. The former county council ECD teachers, who really even did not have certificates. They just used to be Form 4s, and they're taken to schools. But nevertheless, we have sorted that issue out. We are only now taking those who have certificate in ECDs, because that's what the Ministry of Education regulation says. So as far as we are concerned, Senator, in the next 2 months, we'll sort out the issue of the congested schools, particularly in Sagamian, Soko, and the Upper Ololunga, and also Loita, and also part of Narok South, the Langaten, Derit, those areas. We have the figures, and we know those schools. We are working on it. We have come far, and I'm very sure in the next 1 year, we will have sorted out the issue of the ratio between students and teachers, and then also the number of classes. We will put more resources to make sure that we fill the gap. The other issue that...
Your Excellency,
yes.
Just before you leave that point, what is the specific program you have for advertising and employment of those extra teachers?
Actually, we have just given the Public Service Board an okay. So I think it will be running in our newspapers from next week, or at least in the next 2 weeks. We have already given them an okay, because we normally wait for the budget. You have to, first of all, see whether you have the budget to observe the student. So what we have done is we now do the advertisement for the next 2 months, then we would have put in our budget for June, so that by July, August, we now take them. Thank you.
Just for clarity, because you're speaking unanswered, are you saying you're sorting it out in the next 3 months or within 1 year? So that we are clear, because within 2 months you can employ, or 3 months you can employ, but you must have it in the budget. Now you'll not be having a new budget in the next 3 months. Some of these problems require you construct classrooms. You must also put them in the budget. So which is which, so that we can follow up, because you're talking on record. And next year when you come to Kajiado, NAROK, we want to measure what you've said against what we'll be observing on the ground. So what are you exactly going to do to sort out the issue of congestion in classrooms? Because it's not acceptable at all for one teacher to teach 127 pupils. They are learning numeracy, counting, and so on. They can't be made to count when they are 127 against one teacher. They are learning literacy. How would they be taught how to learn with one teacher in teaching 127 students? So tell us clearly what you want to do.
Chair.
Is it in the next 1 year? Is it 3 months? How are you going to include it in that budget? Have you looked at the budgetary issue? How many millions are you going to pump into that? And that's why the Vice Chair is very clear about funding national government functions and leaving all functions.
Please put it off.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
You can come on now.
Thank you, Chair. A follow-up on that question. These students are too many for one teacher. Do you also have caretakers in the same class to assist the teachers, especially when these kids are going for their natural needs, like haja kubwa ndogo, Yeah.
Actually, to be honest with you, Senator from Machakos, our caretaker is the teachers. Yes. In our rural setup, with counties, we don't have that money to employ enough teachers, leave alone having, I'm just being honest, we don't have. I don't know of any center that I have a caretaker. So the teachers are the ones that receive the children and wanachukua haja ndogo na wanarudisha haja kubwa.
But these teachers are doing a lot. That you are overworking them.
That's what it is, Chair. I'm just being
Honorable
honest.
Senator, I think if you look at the scheme of service, that will guide us better.
Yeah.
Please.
Now, on the issue of the Senator, what we talked about is the number of, what we have right now in NAROK County, we have 1,148 ECD teachers in the entire county. Progressively, we want to employ this year, meaning in the next 2 weeks, we are going to be advertising 200 teachers. So it will bring to around 1,300. It's not enough. When you look at the number of students we have in ECD, vis-a-vis the teachers, we need about 1,700. So you can see we still have a gap. So that we are dealing with at least 200. And then next year, we'll do another 200. Again, because of the budgetary allocation that we have. For the ECDs, since I came in as the governor, I have constructed 283 new ECD. This year, we are adding another about 50. And we are concentrating now on the areas that we know we have problems, like the one you have been talking about, Sagamian, Sogo, Apollo, Lolonga, and even, as my senator was talking about, Loita. Those are some of the areas that we have seen that we need shooting. So now we are really looking at the shooting. Where do we have this shooting? You can see that even in other places, in other sub-counties, you can go to an ECD center or an ECD school or a primary school that has 30 ECD students. Meaning we have other areas that have more and others that have less, depending on the population, and of course sub-counties are more densely populated than others. So progressively, Chair, we are doing that. The issue of construction classes has been very expensive for us. Even to use these 200 and 200 and, more than 283 and 80 ECDs, it is 1,400 per class. So you can imagine how much that costs, because we don't just construct, an ECD class. We construct, and then also we put the furnitures that are required, standardized by the Ministry of Education, so that it will take care of our young ones. So, Senator, we're trying, again, it's the issue of budgetary allocation, and also the many other competitive challenges that we have in the county, like the wage bill, the issues to do with the ministry, the health services that we have, that takes a huge amount of money from the county. Managing 283, 252 hospital from level 1, level 2 to referral hospital is a challenge, and meaning that you have to balance between what you take to the ECD or the Department of Education, and also the Department of Health and other departments in the county.
Thank you, Excellency. Senator Olekina, are you through?
No, I'm just nothing important you want to add.
Okay.
You can allow him to add.
Okay.
Activities. Chair, just an addition to the explanation of His Excellency. Though we've given the teacher-pupil ratio, and they look impossible to handle in class, I want to say that we are simply matching the staff that we have employed by the county governments with the enrollments. However, in reality, that is actually the reality on the ground, where teachers from county government are not enough, there is somebody who teaches employed by the community. So the scenario will not be 1 to 86 as it is indicated there. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, if you can allow, and you see the way time has gone, please, if you can move to our next issue, and that is the TVETs.
All right, the County Secretary will take us through the TVET.
Special provisions for allocation of bursary to learners from disadvantaged groups. Those include orphans and vulnerable children, persons with disabilities, youth from pastoralist communities, and female trainees, especially in male-dominated technical fields. Honorable Chair, the table is as presented. B, outreach and awareness campaigns. The county government conducts mobile sensitization drives and community-based programs in hard-to-reach areas to create awareness on the availability and benefits of TVET programs and to ensure enrollment among disadvantaged groups. C, gender mainstreaming and affirmative action. The county government has adopted specific policies to provide gender equality in TVET institutions, including mentorship programs and the establishment of safe learning environment for young women. Honorable Chair, I will hand it over to the CC to present on the best practice and the challenges.
CC, go ahead.
Okay, Chair. Okay, best practice lessons learned and challenges faced in the implementation of ECD and technical and vocational education and training centers. Management response. NAROK County Government has adopted the following best practices in this implementation of ECDE and technical and vocational education training policies.
Sorry to cut you short. So now, are we at the challenges? Have we finished with the? So members, do you want us first to, or it can go through and then? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Capacity building of ECD teachers, regular training and in-service programs on the competency-based curriculum and child-centered pedagogies have enhanced instructional quality, classroom management, and curriculum delivery. B, infrastructure development. continuous investment in the construction and renovation of ECD classrooms, child-friendly sanitation blocks, play areas and furniture has improved safety, accessibility, and the overall learning environment. C, strategic partnerships. The county government has actively partnered with NGOs like Human Practice Foundation, WeWorld, Child Fund, development partners, and local stakeholders to mobilize resources, improve infrastructure, and provide professional development opportunities for ECD and vocational training instructors. D, community involvement and sensitization. Through awareness campaigns and public participation fora, the county government has mobilized community support for ECD programs, thereby increasing enrollment and parental involvement in children's learning journeys. E, outreach to marginalized areas. Mobile outreach and community engagement initiatives have enabled the establishment of ECD centers in remote and underserved areas, thereby enhancing equity in access and early learning opportunities. F, monitoring and evaluation. The development and implementation of data-driven monitoring and evaluation frameworks have enabled the county government to assess progress, identify gaps, and refine interventions for both ECD and TVET sectors. NAROK County government has drawn the following lessons from its experience in implementing ECD and technical and vocational education training policies. A, infrastructure attracts enrollment. Properly constructed, safe, and child-friendly ECD centers encourage attendance and enhance learners' well-being. B, stakeholder engagement is crucial. A collaborative approach involving teachers, parents, local leaders, and development partners ensures shared ownership and program success. C, community participation boosts retention. When communities understand the value of ECD and technical and vocational education training programs, there will be increased attendance and reduced absenteeism. D, equity requires targeted approaches. Outreach programs, affirmative action, and decentralized service delivery improves access for vulnerable and marginalized children. E, quality must match expansion. Rapid expansion must be matched with sufficient staffing, teaching materials, and infrastructure to ensure quality education. F, teacher professional development is transformational. Regular capacity building enhances classroom delivery and learning outcomes. G, effective monitoring and evaluation drives improvements. Timely data collection and feedback mechanisms have been instrumental in refining implementation strategies and policy direction. NAROK County government faced the following challenges which hindered optimal implementation of ECD and technical and vocational education training programs. A, inadequate playing and learning equipment. Many ECD centers lack sufficient instructional and recreational materials required by early learners. B, gaps in competence-based curriculum implementation. Not all ECD teachers have undergone comprehensive training in CBC delivery, thus limiting the effectiveness of curriculum rollouts. At the same time, most of the materials that were acquired in the previous years have been rendered obsolete due to change in curriculum. C, infrastructure deficit. There remains a shortage of ECD classrooms and specialized facilities to accommodate the rising enrollment across NAROK County. D, teacher-student ratio is still high. Some ECD centers are understaffed, and these adversely affect teacher-learner interaction and quality instructions. E, inadequate teaching and learning materials. Textbooks, learning aids, and age-appropriate resources remain insufficient in many centers. NAROK County government is actively developing strategies to address the above listed challenges through increased budgetary allocation, proactive development partner engagements, and integrated planning as outlined in the County Integrated Development Plan, CIDP, and annual development plans. Thank you.
You are through?
Yes.
Honorable Senators, maybe let me go first. Your Excellency, I see that you have listed 11 centers, and this is 10 years after devolution. I don't know whether those are the only centers or there's another list maybe which is excluded. Because if your projection is to have 1,700 centers, as you have told us, this then will take so many years to achieve. And number two, I don't know whether you can be able to quantify the support from the donors and the partners in the year 2022, 2023. Honorable Senators.
Yeah, Chair, if I may, just to make a follow-up on your submission, I am told that NAROK has 30 wards. Yes. Now, 30 wards against 11 VTCs. I feel that these are quite few. And maybe you need to do a lot so that at least every ward has a vocational training center. Do you have maybe NAROK, Nairegi, and Kare training all the skills, or what happens? Lastly, Chair, I have seen some VTCs like Romosha, Ilkarian, Nkaroni are not given any bursary. Why? Is it because they don't need? Is it because there are no students? What is happening here? Thank you.
Chair.
Yes, Senator.
I want to read a question here. In the report of Auditor General, Governor, financial statement for NAROK County for financial year 2023-2024 were audited. There was irregularity findings of NAROK, national government projects, 8,908,820 incurred in construction of medical school hostels and associated works at KMTC, classrooms, laboratories, dormitories, and administration block in various primary and secondary schools. Then my question is, why would the county government undertake functions that do not belong to them on expenses of pressing county government on these functions? B, unremitted retirement benefits contributions in the year 2022 to 2023, 2023 to 2024, the county government owed 1.863,017,088 to 3 pension funds, outstanding contributions 134.981,919 and penalties amounting to 1.728,035,170. What is the status of remittance in the same? Is this not counterproductive action by the county government that will demotivate ECDE and VTC instructors and thereby hamper implementation of the same?
Good question.
Kindly, Chair, if she can just repeat the last one. The last one. I got the first two, but the last one.
And the unremitted retirement benefits contributions.
Thank you. Chair, I know the Vice Chair want to go next, but my question relates to the question asked by the good Senator.
Okay.
If we can get the governor's attention. This question that has been asked by my colleague in terms of expenditures in primary and secondary schools, is that expense in any way related to ECD? And I think maybe, because you see what they're saying is that there are primary schools that were built. And in your response earlier, you had indicated that you don't have ECDs in everywhere, in centers. I want to understand whether this is anyhow related to anything to do with ECD, because then it shouldn't be it shouldn't be a function of the county government.
Maybe before Professor Hugo, let him handle that, and then we'll let you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Now, let me begin with the pension. The issue of the unremitted pension, we had about 133 million that was not paid by the former defunct county councils. And the interest that they have put in 133, plus now, of course, the 10 years or 12 years now in devolution, amount to around 1.8 billion. And a number of it is interest, actually. We have been able to pay about 500 million since I came in as the governor. And the remaining, we are negotiating with them to remove all the interest, and then we can pay the principal amount. And we are working on that. But the pension has already gone to court, and they are trying to get us all manner of things. But about about a month ago, we had a lengthy discussion with the MD, and we are sort of like agreed on a plan on how to pay the remaining amount of money. Now that they have seen the seriousness that we have paid about 500 million. And most of it, probably we just need to add another 200 or 300 million. Then we should be able to finish. Because the other one is interest, which we have asked them to waive for us. Then we'll be able to pay. Now, on the issue of the 88 million of KMTC, I think there is a little bit confusion, because this money is the money that there was a co-funding between the county government and the national government through the KDSP 1, which funded the whole KMTC. It was more than that, actually. And also the amount for the NAROK teaching and referral hospital. And the KMTC is already done, actually, and it's now functional. We have more than 400 students right now attending. So I think they didn't, the Auditor General did not capture the whole amount, if you have to ask me, because it was together with the NAROK Referral Hospital and KMTC. They were both of them together. So when I look at 88, it is not 88, it's more than this. And after all, it is co-funded. So there was some money that the county government, the former administration gave, and also the national government gave. I don't have the numbers right now, but if you are to ask me to give you the numbers, I'll give you the numbers of the whole project, and probably you'll see why I say that the 88 million is somehow misplaced by the Auditor General.
Chair, just before you go, please, Your Excellency, maybe you could also include a framework of your agreement with the national government on the same. Yes, Senator Kavino?
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted him to do, to give us timelines. How long do you think this will take? Because if one retires, they need their benefits.
On the pension? Yeah. On the pension, actually, if we agree, because there was another meeting that we have scheduled for next Wednesday, if we agree for them to waive all the interest, then we should be able to clear, because it's not that much now. It's about 200 to 300 million. And also, as the county government, since I came in as the governor, we have been remitting our amount. The amount that we're trying to clear is the amount that was for the defunct county council and also my predecessor.
What happens if, in case they don't waive the interest?
I think they will waive. I believe so.
Let's wish him well. And because he's not dealing with this case, I think the governor is doing well here. Yes, Professor, before we give the area senator, please, to maybe final remarks. Oh, there's a question which has been answered.
About the number of VTCs.
I was going about, my CC for education, kindly answer the Honorable Senator question.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Senator, you've asked why we don't have a vocational training center in every ward. Yes, indeed, we have 30 wards in NAROK. And when you look at the document, we have the projects that we've been able to undertake on VTCs. And we have a list. We have Ngaroni, Olokurto, Narosura. These are new VTCs that we are constructing in areas that we never had VTCs before. So yes, there are a number of wards that do not have these facilities, but we are working on a daily basis to ensure that we have at least a vocational training center in every ward. Whereas that is because if you're able to pay 15,000 capitation for these students, then the amount required for training would be higher if they are supposed to go and do it in boarding. If they are to be in boarding and they are poor, they might not access this training in VTCs. But then if there's one that they can walk to the vocational training centers, then you improve on the enrollment and access. It's a reality, Honorable. But we are working on towards this end so that we have one at least that makes this education service accessible to everyone from every ward.
Thank you, thank you. Honorable members, if you have a question, please, you can also give your closing remarks so that we can bring, you all agree that sitting down for over 3 hours might not be very productive for all of us.
Chair, mine was touching on the number of VTCs in a very expansive county like NAROK. And I'm asking myself, in relation to the number of secondary schools that you have, what percentage is there? Because, Governor, the reason we must have VTCs is so that we don't have dropouts of Form 4 who are hanging around nowhere. And also to avoid Nairobi coming to NAROK to build as masons, to be electricians, and so forth. You need to have your own human resource, and that's why this item was devolved. It was devolved so that skills development for any requirement of development can be localized, and the economy of the local area will be done. So I was very concerned that in the year 2023-2024, the budgetary allocation for the development in this area was very low. You dropped from 32 million to 13 million. Unfortunately, it was at the same time that you were also taking care of KMTC, which, as I said earlier, you drop your own baby and go and take care of the neighbor's baby without a clear agreement that the baby will be yours one day. And then on 2024, again, you have risen a little bit. But what are your strategies? I just want to know what plans you have, because you must cover all the Form 4. Of course, you have a lot now floating. Yeah, because if you are at 10 only, then it compared to the number of secondary schools, which I know are in hundreds in NAROK, it means they are with a transition of about 30% to the university. In NAROK, I think it's about 30%. Then you have a lot of youth that hang out. So what strategy do you have Because if you leave that as your legacy in NAROK, you will have left a wonderful legacy to make sure that everybody is skilled.
I think that is important. Before you give your remarks, let the governor answer that.
Thank you very much, and that's a very good observation by the professor. Indeed, when I came in as a governor, I realized that there was a low enrollment of ECT by our students. There was that kind of belief that going to these village technical institute was not good enough. And I want to, like, for example, right now we have 1,424. The reason why we had decided as a county government to pay for them to go, any students that want to go will pay 15,000, which is sufficient enough to cover the whole year.
In fact, that's your best success story.
Yes.
Yeah, the numbers.
Yes.
I developed 11 when I was a member of Parliament of Eldoret East.
Correct.
Equal to you now.
Correct.
But for free education, I salute you.
Thank you. And the problem again is, remember, even in the high schools, I talk of the need for the county government to come in and pay for people to go to school, because a number of them will drop. And I keep on saying that my county had a huge problem with, just going to high school. And even now going to colleges, particularly the TVET, has been a struggle for me. We have had issues where we do campaign for all the, Form 4 syllabus, those ones who have not made to school. They have a sit with me, I discuss with them this option, and it's still a big problem. But when I came in, it was around 500. Now we have about 1,424. We'll continue to, that's why even the number of VCT that we had was only, I think, we used to have 7. Now we have a few more that we are building as a county government. There is one that we are building in Narosra Ward, and there is another one that we are building in a place called Olokruto. We're trying to build at least one VCT in every ward. These are 11. We still have a long way to go. We still need 19. And also, thanks to the senator of our county, this is an area that he has been talking a lot about, our young one, particularly those ones who have not made it to go to colleges or universities. There is a better way of training yourself and get to work without even anybody employing you. So, Professor, that's a very good observation. And I want to assure you, in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll see these numbers grow very fast and big numbers. Yes, let me just, unless my, you wanted to add something? It's okay.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, please allow me to ask for your closing remarks, starting with the far end, and then we'll finish with our Senator, Honorable Alekina, and then I will give the Governor a chance to give his closing remarks.
Yeah,
please.
thank you, Chair. I think you've done quite well in this inquiry. We are just doing our comparative analysis of what is happening in the whole country on this education as a devolved function. We're not doing very well, and most of us are using a lot of money for non-devolved functions, and we want to discourage that. We want counties to just do their role so that we can have ECDs flourishing, we can have vocational training centers flourishing. Right now, we don't know if, CBC, if our students would move from grade 6, transit to VTC, or they would move from grade 9 before they go to senior secondary, to university, then they go to before they go to senior secondary, then they transit to VTCs. We are not sure. But one thing that we're sure about is that there will be a lot of students who will be out there who would be requiring skill development for their own life. So let's expend more money on the devolved functions and leave out the national government functions for the national government. After all, what is going to the counties is only 15%. We have a lot of money, 35% left at the national government level. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kavindu, please.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, let me congratulate the Governor on where he's doing good and where you have to pull up your socks. Kindly, Governor, do it, and know that we don't question the governors because we hate them, but because we want to just challenge them so that they can do the right thing. And we are defenders of devolution as senators. We'll continue fighting for you, and wherever you have challenges, kindly feel free to approach your senator, approach the Senate, and we'll be able to do the needful for you. Thank you.
Professor?
Yeah, thank you. I think I did my congratulations on the issue of free TVET. I think that is the way to go, and other governors should learn from you because it is the only way you can have human resource. I only want to alert the governor that some of these issues arrive in Senate either as questions or petitions. And when we talk of unremitted retirement benefits, please work on it as fast as possible so that it doesn't come back to us. Because we picked this one because we wanted you to tell us what your status is. We didn't want to have to wait for a question to come and then we interrogate you on the same. There are some things that don't need to be here. Finally, the issue of working for the national government, please minimize it. Minimize it because they have 85% of the resources of this country. Why would you assist them build a dormitory or build a primary school? You are a member of parliament, fortunately, so you know what your MPs have. Please push them to do what they must do. But the other congratulations was that meeting that you have called a county meeting. I think you are only 2 governors who do that. Most of the other governors think the national and the county should not meet, they should be parallel. I think such a meeting is very good, not only for bursaries, but also for other development agendas. Thank you.
Honorable Ekina, and I hope you're not going to whip me in front of our visitors as my whip.
Well, let me begin by appreciating the county government for preparing what I can say satisfactory responses. I was a bit harsh on the CC and the CEO, but having taken some time to look at the details, I think, Governor, in your administrative action, you should be a little bit lenient to them because this is quite detailed, and maybe that explains why it took some time before they could be submitted. But whoever prepared these responses, you should borrow their intelligence in preparing subsequent reports for the Senate. It was done properly in terms of responding to the questions. Now, I have noted clearly that we have a serious problem in NAROK South. If you look at this area occupied by Wasingishu, if you look at Sagamian Ward, there's a serious issue there, especially when it comes to ownership of the land that the ECDs are being built. I think you need to complete that. So if there's any schools which are not being completed because of court issues, maybe you should try and complete those ones. Because having 198 students per 1 teacher, there's nothing that student is learning. I appreciate your candidness in terms of the issues of bursaries, and I think this is something that you can work clearly with the Assembly and probably try to set up a fund to deal specifically with that. I think the law, the PFM Act, allows that, and there's a way you can circumvent, go around this requirement by the national government to be able to provide funds. Every county has its own needs. I will be championing the need for NAROK County to continue providing bursaries to their students because I understand the challenges that the county faces when it comes to the issue of sending their students to school. And these challenges of not having enough TVETs, sometimes it's not even easy to have a student. They cannot afford a meal. Would they really afford to go to school? So I think we have to look at every county, Madam Chair, differently. We have to look at our ways of life, which are a bit challenging. If you go to Kajiado also, Mosiro, Magadi, it's very difficult. And unless you support those students from that area, there's no way you can be able to do it. Loiter is also one of the other big problems. Olergesi is also a very big challenge. So I support the bursaries 100%. And I just want us to find a way to look at the Constitution. I think Article 187 to 189 of the Constitution sets out a way that you can work closely with the national government. So use your county secretary and your legal team to be able to get these functions, and you perform these functions better, because I would be the last person to tell you don't give bursaries. And now that there are these court cases, you can also be able to circumvent them and go around it. I know the control of budget is becoming a bit tough when it comes to those issues, but circumstances differ. So I hope that when the committee visit, which will be fairly soon, we can then get to see these institutions. Finally, there are always those asks to the president, and the president is supposed to be coming to NAROK. You know, we need a lot of ECDs, you know, if they can be able to do other things. If they are giving away to Wasingishu County 700 million to build 2 hospitals or 3 hospitals in a total of 900 million, which is given to the whole country, why can they not give us $1 billion to build our classrooms so that we can teach? We can make sure that our kids are going to school. I end by saying, I echo the words of Professor Kamar when she said that when you invest in early childhood education, you get more productive students in future. Otherwise, I thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. Let me give this chance before I close the meeting to His Excellency the Governor to give his closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Chair and the Honorable Senators. I'll begin by what the Professor talked about, and that's one of my take-home, the issue of the feeding program. Again, that's an issue that we as a team, I think, will go look at it and see how best we can work on that. We have also heard from the senators on the issue of a shortage of teachers, which is true. And as I have indicated, we will try our best to make sure that at least we can employ another 200 and see how the budget will go next, the next other one more year. The VCT and of course the ECDs, and I keep on saying this because it's very important that the senators here, and I'm happy that the chairperson is a senator from Kajiado, and the senator of NAROK here, and Mr. Seki was here, is that without the bursaries for those 3 counties in Samburu, many of our people will not go to school. So and I agree with the senator from NAROK, that we need to look for a way out so that we don't, they don't stop bursary. But if the Senate and the National Parliament and then the Parliament, in their own wisdom, can find a way of making sure that all these bursaries can be put in a basket, and for once in a generation we can make education free, I can assure you that will solve the whole problem. Just remove the CDF bursary, the county bursary, the women representative bursary, the national government bursary, and put it in one basket. And we say free secondary school, free colleges and tertiary institutions. Even our VCT will benefit from that. I think for me, that will solve the whole problem of this issue of bursary. I know many people will not agree with me, but I have sat down one day and I look at all these bursaries around, and again, having been a member of parliament, I think that's the way to go. I know many people don't like, because it's a sort of like a political tool on the ground. But I can do politics doing other things other than the bursary for our children. Last but not least, I want to take this opportunity to again thank the committee for giving us time to come and discuss these very important issues of our county. Personally, I normally, when I come to these, these meetings with the senators and members of parliament, I learn a lot. There's a lot that I learn from the question that they ask, and I don't take it, I take it as it's going to help me. There are things that I didn't see. For example, the feeding program. The professor talked, not just like a professor, but talked from a personal sort of like experience. And I can see her face that he talks about those young children. How do we develop? And Professor, I want to assure you that I will talk to my senator and see whether we can get more money to feed this young one. With those very, very few remarks, thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Let me also join my colleagues to thanking you for first accepting to come before this committee.